Oh, okay.
Okay. Hi, Joan. It's Mary. Okay.
Great. All right, so we are live on YouTube now, so let's keep the cursing to a minimum.
Okay.
Same joke every meeting.
Jeremy?
Yes, Marilyn.
Oh, do you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. This is not, could I ask you something about not about the meeting?
Go right ahead.
We have a dead city tree in front of my building.
Okay.
So I don't know who to contact to take it away or.
Contact the community board tomorrow. Has it already been taken down?
No.
Okay, so contact the community board tomorrow. Either give me a phone call, I'll be in 9 to 5, or send us an email. Just give me the address it's in front of. We'll reach out to Parks for you.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
Huh.
You could also call 311, but I think we'll be faster.
I'm sure you will be.
I'm sure you will, is right.
Don't spread that around, though.
Jeremy,
Okay.
they did the lines around Park Circle today.
No, they did them on Friday. I drove it on Saturday.
Yeah, no, they were completing it this morning.
Oh, they finished up.
They finished, other than the thing, I don't think it's going to do much, but you know, it's DOT.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to be slightly better than it was, but it doesn't fix two very important things. And I think if any part of the circle doesn't work, none of the circle works.
I'm disgusted with the traffic and everything,
So, well, they think this will help, so we'll give them a chance. So I'm going to open the meeting to the public now.
okay.
Zach's not here to give me approval. Nor is John Garcia, who is the vice chair, so I'll take it upon myself. Feel free to report me.
Okay.
Hi, Cynthia. We have
How are
some-
the kids, Jeremy?
Fortunately, being quiet right now. Right before this, they had this big, loud wrestling match. If you were here 5 minutes earlier, you would have heard me yelling, "Quiet!"
Mhm. All right.
More of our presenters are joining us. We have a lot of guests tonight who will be panelists because we have 3 agenda items.
Okay.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I had some trouble getting on, so forgive me.
Don't worry. We're still waiting for our chairperson, but he usually gets here about 6:05. I think he's just getting off of work now.
Yeah. Well, I just, I'm not computer literate, so it's a little difficult for me, but I got it.
You're more computer literate than you realized.
I'm trying.
There's Zach.
Hey, Joan.
Minutes, a couple of moments. Say, Zach.
How's everyone doing?
Joan.
Good.
Hey.
Good to see you, or see your name at least. Oh, there you are. See you. Zach, when you're ready to start, I should call roll.
Okay, let's get this going. It's my 13-year-old's birthday, so I'm
Understood, and we have a long agenda. So I'm going to mute everybody,
Okay.
and I'm going to call roll. Board members, when I call your name, and I'm only calling the committee right now, when I call your name, please unmute yourself, acknowledge I've called your name, and then mute yourself again. If you are a board member but not a member of this committee, I'm just going to take your name down, and I'm not going to call your name. Zach, JC?
here.
Thank you. John Garcia. Joan Body.
Here.
Thank you. Joseph Canale.
Here.
Thank you. John DeLuper.
Here.
Thought I heard John.
Yes, here.
Okay, thank you. David Estrada.
Here.
Thank you. Roberto A. Martinez.
Here.
Thank you. Marilyn Melman. You have to unmute yourself, Marilyn, but I see you anyhow, and I already
Hi,
spoke.
sweetie, I'm here.
Thank you. Gloria Rodriguez Navoa. Cindy Vandenbosch. Katie Walsh.
Present.
Oh,
Present.
thank-
Sorry,
thank
this is
you.
Cindy.
No problem, I got you. Katie Walsh. Okay, again, if you are a board member but not a committee member, I am going to take your name down and add you to the list. Oh, I see Sandra Alfonso too. Sandra, I don't think you were a member of this committee, but you may not have been added to the list since you are new, but I will check.
Okay, present. Thank you.
Zach, it's all yours. Zach, you're muted.
Got it. You guys just missed it. I had some great stuff to say. First, I'm going to give the floor to our Assemblyman Peter Abate, who is nice enough to join us. Unfortunately, he will be out of town when we have our 7th and 8th Avenue meeting, but he has done so much work to help us get to this point where we will actually have a voice in this. And we appreciate everything you've done. Sorry you're going to miss the hybrid meeting, but the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you very much. And again, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I will be out of town on the 5th. I will try if I can to get on by Zoom, but I'll be in the Ukraine that night. So it'll be about 2 in the morning. It'll be 2 in the morning, but we'll see what we can do. But I just wanted to mention a few things. I was happy to work with Jeremy and the other boards to make sure that we got an Article 78, to make sure that the Department of Transportation did come and make a presentation to the board rather than trying to skirt the issue. So that was the one thing. And three things that I'm concerned about on the 8th and 7th Avenue thing, and I won't take too long because it'll be another discussion, is I'm concerned about their safety program where they're saying safety. I do not think it's a safer program. I think it's a more dangerous program. They're looking to extend sidewalks 6 feet further onto 8th Avenue,
Right.
which I believe will just have more vendors and not having more space for people to walk. Moving the bus stops from 2 blocks to 5 blocks apart. It's another way, I think, of sneaking in, extending the area where bus stops would be is a concern. And I'm concerned about responses for emergency services. Hopefully, the fire department will be coming out with its report in the next couple of days, which I think is a major concern with 7th Avenue. For the EMS garage that's right there right now on 50th Street and 7th Avenue. God forbid, the ambulance has to go to 40th Street or 39th Street. Right now, it would just make a right turn coming out of the station and go up 7th Avenue to 40th Street or 41st or 2nd. Under their plan, the ambulance would have to make a left turn, go to 51st Street, make another left turn, go to 8th Avenue, make another left turn and then take 8th Avenue down to 40th Street.
It's gonna
So-
be dead, but
Those are the objections I have. You might hear that some people are saying we're anti-bike lane and all. I have no objections to bike lanes where they want to put them, is everything. My opinion, but it's really the board's, not mine. I think a bike lane, a double bike lane on 7th Avenue would be much better than on 8th Avenue, which I think would be dangerous for cyclists. And that's it, but I'm sure you'll have a bigger discussion on October 5th, and if I can make it, I'll be there. But Jeremy, thank you for the opportunity, Zach, to work with us, and hopefully transportation will come and give a thorough meeting. They had it board 10, and most of the meeting that they had, there was no different than what we've heard for the last 6 months with no changes and all. Once again, they're being arrogant about it. But again, thank you very much and go on with your meeting. And again, thank you for the time.
thank you. Thanks for your input.
Thank you, Assemblyman. And again, if you could join us, perhaps, we would appreciate that. If there was something you would like us to read on your behalf, we'd be happy to. Or if someone from your office was going to be there, they would be extended all courtesies, and we would extend you as well. So, in any way, shape, or form, but you will be
Okay,
represented.
thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
So Jeremy, first item is the,
It's whatever order you choose. Typically, it's the one with the fewest speakers. I have a feeling the one with the street renaming is going to have the most speakers tonight. So I think 5502 Fifth Avenue is probably the one with the least.
okay, great. Let's get started. Who would like to present for that?
So I believe off Tam.
Yes, we are the architect representing the client for 5502 Fifth Avenue. We are proposing to remove the existing steps that is in front of the building, and replace it with a handicap access ramp to the first floor apartment. We are making that apartment a handicap apartment. So we need to have handicap access. Do you have the drawing, or you want us to show you the drawing?
Can you share your screen?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the control to share your screen,
Okay,
and you can share your screen now.
okay, very well.
On the bottom, yep, you got it.
Yeah, you see the drawing, right?
We can see it.
Okay, great. The first drawing is showing the site plan of the existing property, which is a corner of Fifth Avenue and 55th Street. The hatched area is the building itself, and the red line indicate the new handicap ramp that we are proposing. The picture below is showing the existing condition. You have a stair which already occupied part of the sidewalk near where the ramp is. So our proposal is to take out the steps and replace with the ramp. Yui, can you show the second slide? Yeah. We are showing the partial plan. That is the step we are removing. And you can see the adjacent building already have their encroachment into the sidewalk. So we are basically following the line of the existing encroachment. Can I have the third page? Yeah. This showing the ramp that is used to have the handicap access for the first floor. And we follow the ADA requirement. The ramp have to have a slope of 1 to 12. and have landing at both sides of the ramp. And the landing at the entrance of the apartment is pretty much aligned with the encroachment, existing encroachment that is on the next door. Can I have the next? This is existing elevation showing where the steps are. And this is the new elevation showing where the handicap ramp is. So the handicap ramp follow the handicap code with the railing, with the guardrail, certain height. And the ramp is made with steel and concrete block, and the concrete block in the front will be finished with the stucco finish. Next slide. This is a section cutting through the ramp, showing the construction material used for the ramp. Will be a steel structure with concrete deck. The surface will be concrete and will be non-slippery finish on top. Second slide. This is the cross section showing the ramp actually come out from the property line about 3 foot 8 inches where the ramp is, and also showing the detail of the height of the railing. And this is the same slide showing how the ramp come into the handicap apartment, and see how it align with the existing encroachment to the right. Color drawing, right? Color drawing. Yeah, presentation, yeah, color. So this is the package. We send it to PDC, showing the location. Next slide. Showing the similar information. Showing the photograph. Too fast. Yeah. Okay, step by step, so people in the committee can take a look more carefully. So that's the sidewalk picture, the existing steps. Next slide. The picture showing the encroachment next door. So we are pretty much aligned with the encroachment already existing. You can see. Next slide. Yeah, those are similar drawings, but this is a presentation package. More detail added to it. The same information. Next slide. The elevation showing the material. Next slide. Showing the finish with the brick facade. Next slide. Next one. Yeah. And the next one showing the color. Yeah, the color picture. So the ramp will be finished with a very similar color to the brick. The brick right now is very dirty. The owner is going to clean up the brick, and then the ramp will be very much coordinate the color with the existing brick. And the well will be painted as a dark gray or black color. It's very simple, easy to maintain. And next slide. That's it. Yeah, that's the whole package. I welcome any questions that you might have.
Thank you.
Thank
Your
you.
audio was cutting in and out a little bit, but I was able to follow by reading the transcript. I hope everybody was able to do that if their audio was cutting in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I apologize about
No worries about that. Zach?
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I just have one. So this is going to be converted into a handicap apartment that will be permanently marketed to handicapped individuals. Is that my understanding?
We are marketing to every type of tenant. Really, is the owner's decision. But we follow the building code requirement, and when we convert the existing building, which was a commercial building, into a multi-family, and one of the apartment had to be handicap accessible. So and we decide that will be the best use of the property. I have the apartment at the back serving as the handicap apartment. And the building actually have 5 units. This is one of the 5 units.
One of the 5 units. This is one of the 5 units in the building. Will there be priority given to handicapped individuals?
Yeah, if there is handicapped people who are in need of that, this apartment is well equipped to serve them.
Okay. Any other questions, Jerry?
Yeah, we have Cindy Vandenbosch next. I just want to say to the anonymous attendee who asked a question, we do not take anonymous questions. Please identify yourself.
Hi, thank you so much for bringing this proposal to the board. I just have a couple of requests. The first one is that I heard most of your presentation, but I actually did not hear this final slide. And so I would appreciate, I looked at the transcript and I couldn't see much of what you said with this final slide. So if you could recap that. And then I have a question about the entrance, the door, and whether you've made accommodations for the door to be an accessible, is it an accessible entrance that's there so that a person who's using a wheelchair can independently enter the building?
Thank you for asking the question. Let me clarify on the last slide. I apologize for the audio again. The last slide is really just showing the context of how the ramp go with the existing building. Is showing the material that we are going to use. We have the base of the ramp with the CMU, and we have the stucco finish. And the color of it will be compatible to the color of the brick after the brick have been cleaned. The existing building have been neglected for years. And, the owner decided to renovate it and clean the brick and paint the new, replace with new windows. And definitely that door for the entrance of the apartment. Can I just back up the slide showing you the plan? The plan, the floor plan. I'm sorry, I'm talking to my associate here. There is a floor plan, the large, not this drawing, the other one, showing the floor plan. Can you just go one at a time? Yeah. This one, yeah. This one is showing all the handicap requirements that we need to have. And the 18-inch space. So we basically have this drawing showing how the handicap access requirement is. You need a 5-foot turning diameter for the landing, and you need that 12 inches minimum in the front on the push side. And the 18-inch minimum for the pool side, and the door had to be a minimum of 3 feet. So I hope that answers your question on the handicap requirement here. You know, we build a ramp, we spend the money on the ramp. We definitely want to make sure the door getting into the apartment can be, you know, built to satisfy all the handicap requirements.
Okay, yeah, that's good because I want to be sure that it's great. I wish more. We'd love to see many more owners of buildings in Sunset Park putting in ramps and accessible features in their buildings. And we just want to be sure that if someone comes up to the door that they can independently get inside, right? Come and go.
Yes, yes,
So thank you so much.
you're welcome.
I have John DeLuper next.
Okay. For you on the ramp specifically, you mentioned that there's a non-stick finish on it.
Non-slippery finish, yeah. Mhm.
A non-slippery finish. Can you tell us what this finish is made out of? Is it a separate material, or is it something that you're doing to the concrete itself?
Actually, the concrete will be a normal concrete. We are painting the surface with the non-slippery texture paint to make the surface non-slippery. Yeah,
And this paint still works okay in the rain and stuff like that? Because I know sometimes some of the ramps that can be a challenge.
Yeah, we actually have examined different types of paint, and I did not include that in this drawing, but I'm happy to provide you that. You know, we can buy those paint very easily. Home Depot have a lot of them. They have some kind of texture in it and give you a non-slippery finish. I think they have some kind of pigment of particles, almost like sand. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Nick Azadian, you're next.
I had a brief question. I'm assuming there are other renovations being done to the building.
That's correct.
And so I'm assuming one of the units, or if not one, maybe another unit on the first floor is being made fully ADA accessible, inclusive of bathroom renovations.
Yeah, that is the one. Let me show you the full plan of this apartment. Yeah. Yeah. We are trying to shrink the building, shrink the drawing. So all the bathroom and the kitchenette are fully handicap accessible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
I don't have any additional panelists with hands up. Would any attendees like to ask questions? Attendees, please just raise hands. I don't see any additional hands up, Zach.
Okay, and what is required or requested from the board for this presentation?
DOT permit, they are asking for our approval. The applicant's asking for our approval to sign off on the permit.
Okay, and what's our latest?
So the deadline is October 1st, so we should have a vote tomorrow evening.
Okay, but we can't take a vote over Zoom anymore, right?
Oh, yes, you can. The governor has given us until January 15th to do so.
Okay, so then we should have a committee vote now, since it's fresh in our mind, and then we'll have a committee recommendation to the board tomorrow night. Does that sound okay?
I think that's reasonable.
Okay, so you want to read down the committee members and we'll vote yay or nay?
On what?
Yes is in favor of supporting this application. No would be
Okay,
against.
I do have one hand up now from an attendee, if you'd like to entertain that.
Sure.
Okay. So Elvin Fernandez, you could unmute yourself. Elvin Fernandez, you could unmute yourself. Elvin Fernandez,
okay?
is that you?
No,
Elvin?
so sorry.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I just raised my hand for those individuals in regards to the question. Those individuals that needed to, if they are able to view the transcript, and I'm able to view it. Sorry about that.
Okay. So it's difficult to hear you because there's some sort of beeping sound behind you, I guess.
Sorry about that. I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. So Zach, you're making a motion to approve of this, am I correct?
You are correct.
All right,
Yes.
so you would need a second on that motion?
Yes.
Who is the second?
Yes.
Joan, I guess is the second.
Yes.
And you'd like me to call roll for that, okay?
Please.
Thank you. So yes supports the motion to approve, the no is against, and abstention counts as no vote. Cesar Zuniga. Zachary Jacy.
Yes.
I said only you need to only do 3. That's it.
Not yet, David. John
1,
Garcia.
2,
Yes.
David Estrada votes yes.
David, you weren't called, you just unmuted.
Oh, sorry.
John Garcia. Joan Body.
Yes.
Thank you. Joseph Canali.
Yes.
Thank you. John DeLuper.
Yes.
Thank you. David Estrada.
Still yes.
Thank you. Roberto A. Martinez. Roberto Martinez.
Yes.
Thank you. Marilyn Melman. Marilyn, you're muted. Marilyn?
Marilyn, unmute yourself.
Going once. Marilyn? Going twice. Okay, Gloria Rodriguez Navoa. Cindy Vanden Bosch.
Yes.
Thank you. Katie Walsh. Zach, the vote was 7-0.
Great.
And so this will now go to the full board for a vote tomorrow night.
Yes, that's correct. There won't be a committee report written up, but we will give a brief synopsis.
Thank you.
Okay, what's our next item is the.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Thank
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
So I think next we should go to DOT for the 2 schools, the pedestrian supports for them.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. MD, who will be presenting? Is it you or Will?
Going on here.
This is Brett Levy from AECom. We're the design consultants for this project. I have a presentation. I'm trying to share my screen. It says that it's the screen share is
I have to make
disabled.
you the co-host, so I'm
Okay.
giving you permission now, and now you can share your screen.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, you guys should be able to see the presentation. Okay.
Yep.
So this is
May
the
we just ask that tomorrow you email this presentation to us as well.
okay.
Thank you.
Will do.
All right, so this is the DOT Safe Routes to School project. It involves 17 intersections in Brooklyn and Staten Island, and these are the 4 intersections that are within Community Board 7. This is the project location. We have 2 intersections in the vicinity of Our Lady of Perpetual Help, and 2 intersections in the vicinity of PS 169. There are additional schools in these areas too, that you see on this slide and the next slide. These are additional schools near OLPH, and we also have additional schools near PS 169 that these intersections are near. So the project goal is to reduce vehicle and pedestrian conflicts and reduce accidents at these intersections and to improve traffic safety. These are at intersections that were identified by DOT as priority intersections and having serious crash histories in the past. The next couple of slides, we're just going to show examples of some of the safety improvements that are going to be at these intersections, and then we'll talk about each intersection individually. The first is a curb extension, which is the top image on this screen. It basically expands the sidewalk. It provides more room for pedestrians to wait for crossing the street. It improves sight lines for oncoming traffic, and it also reduces the speed of turning vehicles. The bottom image is an example of a raised intersection, which is basically raising the entire roadway to sidewalk level so that the pedestrians walk straight across without stepping down or ramping down into the street. We'll talk more about that when we get to that specific intersection. These improvements are also going to include repainted pavement markings, essentially new standard crosswalks. All ramps will be upgraded to be ADA compliant, and the traffic signal upgrades will be included as well. The first intersection is 60th Street and 7th Avenue. This is the aerial view of the existing conditions. These are some photos of the existing conditions. The existing ramps are not ADA compliant. On this left image, we have one of the crossings doesn't even have a ramp at all. All 4 corners will be reconstructed on this intersection. The blue highlighted areas is existing sidewalk area that's going to be reconstructed, and the yellow areas are bump outs that are right now, those are street areas, and those sidewalks are going to be extended out into the street. So in this intersection, we have 2 curb extensions or bump outs. Our next intersection is 59th Street and 6th Avenue. This is the aerial view. These are the existing conditions. On the left, this is one of the corners that's going to be expanded to be a curb extension and have more sidewalk area. And on the right is an example of one of the corners that currently has non-ADA compliant ramps. That's going to be reconstructed with new ramps. Again, on this intersection, all 4 corners are going to be reconstructed. Those are the blue highlighted areas. And we have 1 curb extension at this corner that's shown in yellow at the southeast corner. Our next intersection is a T intersection where 6th Avenue meets 44th Street at Sunset Park. This is going to be our raised intersection that I was talking about before. These are some photos of the existing conditions. The entire intersection is going to be raised to sidewalk level, and there'll be no more need for any pedestrian ramps because the sidewalk will be flush with the street, and we'll see the design drawing in the next slide. So in this drawing, the orange area is going to be the reconstructed street area. The intersection and crosswalks are going to be raised so that they're flush with the sidewalk corners, and the sidewalk corners and the north side of 44th Street are going to be reconstructed as well. This this strip here, that looks black on this drawing, this strip here, and this strip around the two corners, those are going to be the detectable warning surface to indicate that one is exiting the sidewalk and walking into the street. Our last intersection is 44th Street and 7th Avenue. This is the aerial. Here are some existing photos. There's one of the corners that's going to be reconstructed that currently has non-compliant ramps. And this is showing an example of one of the crossings that when the curb extension is built, the crossing distance will be shorter. And here's our drawing. All four corners in blue are going to be reconstructed, have compliant ramps. And our curb extension at this intersection is going to be at the northwest corner, shown in yellow. In addition to the improvements we already discussed, there's going to be some additional improvements as well, including utility work. There'll be catch basins that are replaced. At intersections with bus stops, there's going to be new concrete bus pads. And it's also just wanted to note that there are no right-of-way issues. All work is going to take place within the current DOT right-of-way. As for the project schedule, as I stated at the beginning, this is part of a larger project. These are 4 of the 17 intersections. The design of the entire project is expected to be complete approximately a little over a year from now, in summer or fall of 2022. The construction for the entire project is anticipated to begin in spring 2023, with the entire project taking 2 years. And each location is expected to take, within that 2-year time frame, is expected to take about 2 to 4 months, depending on the complexity of the intersection. And that brings us to the end. I'm happy to field any questions now.
Okay, thank you for the presentation.
Would you like me to get to the hands?
Yeah, and I would like to 44th and 6th Avenue. That's great, and it's necessary, and it's an entrance to the park. But I think that you should also look at 7th Avenue and 42nd Street, and you should look at 41st Street and 6th Avenue. Both other entrances to the park should deserve the same treatment.
Thank you, Zach. I'm going to call board members first, but let me just say back in 2003, and yes, I was working for the board in 2003, we had a Safe Routes to School study for 60th Street and 3rd Avenue. We haven't heard back from DOT about that intersection since. Cindy Vandenbosch, you are next.
Yes, I live in Windsor Terrace, and I know that there was one of the early elevated sidewalks was prototyped on East 5th Street and Fort Hamilton Parkway. And one of my neighbors is blind, and I spoke with her about her experience of the elevated sidewalk, and she found it rather disorienting at the time that I spoke with her, because it felt like just a continued sidewalk to her. And so I just wanted to ask what feedback you've received from the blind community in terms of the design for this elevated, like how do they detect that they're about to cross the street with this current design? I'm guessing you're going to have bump strips, but I'm also asking which associations you might have consulted with, like whether it's the Federation for the Blind or the Greater New York Council for the Blind, so that this is indeed like accessible for people who have low vision or are blind.
So just to clarify something and add on something you said, there are going to be what we call detectable warning strips. That's I have the design up here on the screen again. That's what these thin black strips, and basically these are put anywhere where a pedestrian area is flush with a roadway area where there's not, a step down the curb to indicate that you're going into the street. So that's essentially like what you see on it's like, this is one of the existing ramps that has a detectable warning pad. These are supposed to be all ADA compliant ramps because to indicate that you're going into the street, this pad would essentially be it would basically be a strip like that pad, but it would go along the entire length of the intersection that's flush with the street. As far as
sorry.
yeah, but that's our main that's our main way of indicating that you're going from a sidewalk into the street.
And has there, I mean, I guess like my question about, there's one thing about sort of what's required in the tactile strips, but then there's like, I know that DOT has recently been introducing these elevated crosswalks, and I'm wondering whether you've actually gotten feedback from people who are blind to ensure that this is a safe passage for them, or if you would commit to doing that.
Yeah, if that's more of a general question for DOT and their general program, how they're implementing these citywide. I could talk about these specific locations, but a question like that would better be directed to DOT.
Yeah, so all new crosswalks being installed in the city from a certain point onward are all ADA accessible, and one of the features that it does include is that detectable warning strip that would be brought up, that would bring it into compliance as well. And I'm sure if these, I can look a little bit more about signals, see if these are the ones that are also the ones that you can hear. If you can, if you drop your email in the chat, I can get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, I should mention about this.
Emily, please get back through.
Yeah, I should mention about the signals. As I said, all traffic signals are going to be upgraded to current standards, and part of those current standards are that they'll have APS, which is accessible pedestrian signals, which are the audio signals to supplement the walk and don't walk.
Okay, thank you. And one other piece of feedback is, I know when there was construction being done on the sidewalk, if it's possible to include signage, or somehow if we can get the word out to the community board when that starts, and or if there's actually signage near that site that can be accessible to people who are blind so that they know what's going on. Because I know that was also confusing when the other intersection was under construction.
Okay.
Thank you. John DeLuper next.
All right. Thank you guys for your presentation and for your efforts to improve the safety conditions in school. Some of these are a little, I want to give a little bit of feedback as well as ask some questions. And I just want to say that first, I love that you guys are adding more curb extensions. As a parent of small children, having curb extensions that help reduce the crossing distance are huge. And I find that they help not only us, but also a lot of our elderly friends and neighbors who may be moving a little more at a different speed. They might be moving a little more slowly, and having the curb extensions really help. I'm also excited to see you bring crosswalks to our neighborhood, because I've only seen them in one part of Manhattan, and other cities are doing that. And to me, that is a huge advantage, because they act flush, so you don't have to worry about people getting in, about like water pooling at the sides. You can just go straight across. It's really great, and they work as a speed bump, so cars have to slow down for them. I do want to ask, on the raised crosswalk you're doing, is it going to be made out of asphalt like a road, or concrete like a sidewalk? And I ask because I've seen other cities where it's concrete or bricks or other things. That kind of works better to prevent cars from like creeping up in the intersection. And if you could have it that way, I think that's something I strongly prefer. The rest?
Yes, our current design right now is a concrete surface for the raised intersection.
And then next, for the 17 intersections that were mentioned, this might be a question for Emily. Are they on the DOT website, or is there a list? It's 17 across the city, not in our board. Is that correct?
Yes, these are the 4 that are within this community board. But that's part of the 17 that's in Brooklyn. They're mostly in Brooklyn. There's one in Staten Island.
Okay.
For this particular school safety project, there have been other school safety contracts with other intersections, but in this contract, there's 17 intersections.
Okay. And then the next question is with the bulb outs, the extended sidewalks. I think these things are huge and they're great. And I see like other neighboring CBs, like the one in Park Slope to the north of us. They have a lot of these and they're great. But I'm looking at some of the designs you showed us, and they don't have it at every corner. You only bulb out one side, whereas in some of these other places, they will do both corners. Is this something? Yeah. So like you see how on the, go back to that slide, how on the top one, the flush, whereas on the other side is where the bulb out was, but there are other places where they have bulb outs on both sides. So both of where you see the ramps, the red ramps sides, not just the one facing us, but the other one would be extended too. And these are also good for preventing cars from blocking the curb ramp. Any consideration for modifying these to have it on all corners, not just one corner?
There's been a lot of coordination that led to the drawings that were in this presentation. There are a lot of factors that go into deciding where the curb extensions are going to be.
Yes, this one, because I would love to see it, for instance, shortening the crossing distance across 60th Street on both ends, not just, and also on 7th Avenue, you see shortening it on both ends there, and then also across 60th Street as well. If you add those things, I think that's a huge win. I don't know what the budget supports, but I definitely, as a pedestrian who brings my child actually to OLTH by walking, having curve extensions wherever possible, it would, on all sides possible, would be a huge benefit, especially because, like I said, people nowadays, we got big cars, we got pickup trucks, we got SUVs, and people end up blocking the curb ramps a lot more. And when you have that concrete curb extension, they can't do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, there's a lot of other factors that go into deciding where these curb extensions are. We have to take into account where the bus stops are. If it's gonna, these are good to reduce the turning radius. To reduce the turning speed of vehicles, but it also can't. If it's it can't completely impede a turning vehicle too. So those are, and there's some locations where that happens if you put a curb extension in a certain direction. So there's also some places where it's not practical due to utility conflict of a manhole that's already in the street that may not be able to be relocated. So those are factors that go into deciding where these go.
Okay. Yeah, and like I also know at 60th Street and 6th Avenue, there's a B9 bus stop. There hasn't been any discussion of adding like a bus border or bus boarding island or anything like that, because that also kind of helps with people coming and going from the school.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Okay. No, I have one other question, if possible.
Go right ahead.
And then Okay, so the next thing I want to say is I also love these safe routes to school, and I want to echo Jeremy's concern that he mentioned earlier about 60th and 3rd Avenue, because that's right around where I live. I have to cross there in order to get all the way up to 6th Avenue. And yeah, that intersection is a disaster, and it actually makes me somewhat concerned for this project for some of those things, like you were talking about the new signals, the APS things. I asked that because on the way I'm passing 60th and 3rd Avenue, the signals went out, had to call up DOT, and DOT said, you know what, they gave me work orders, but it still took weeks to get the signals there fixed. 60th Street and 4th Avenue, had to put in a thing there. The signal, the new accessible signal is gone, it's just not there. And we also have issues like poor sidewalk quality, where like 4th Avenue now has got a bunch of sinkholes, and that's making the crossing wet because it's literally leaking. And even on 3rd Avenue, new construction is kind of making a sidewalk collapse. So some of this is stuff I can follow up afterward with DOT and with the board, but these safe routes to school are really important, and they do cover areas, not just the ones in front of school. And I really hope that they actually do get implemented and we don't get it kind of the situation at 60th and 3rd. So that's all the rest of my feedback, and thank you.
Yeah, John, if you don't mind sending me the locations of the sinkholes, we can get those inspected right away. And in terms of 60th and 3rd, it is in our radar. We don't have any information for you at this moment, but we are still looking into it, and hopefully can get something to you soon.
Thank you, John. For the public, let it be known, Community Board 7 has been asking for over a decade for a plan for 60th and 3rd. It's open to attendees. If any attendees would like to raise their hand, feel free. And seeing none, I know there's a question in the Q&A from Vanessa Cordero. I'm just going to ask because I'd love to know the answer to this myself. How are the locations for these projects determined?
I can, hi, my name is Will Sharman. I'm with let me turn on my video. I'm with the School Safety Unit at DOT. I'm the Deputy Director, and we are the project sponsor for these Safe Routes to School projects. The short answer, so many of these capital projects began with a prioritization study that began in the early 2000s. And this looked at intersections throughout all 5, or schools throughout all 5 boroughs, and establishing which particular schools had the highest rates of particular types of crashes involving often students and others. And so prioritizing those, school safety reports were developed for those, and improvements that could be made in-house. At the time, the recommended improvements, many were things like striping high visibility crosswalks, which have now become just the standard. Those in-house improvements were implemented, and as we the city has continued to fund different waves of these school safety capital projects to implement things that we wouldn't be able to do in-house, where moving utilities is required, or things like the raised intersection, which we don't have the capacity to do in-house. So overall, it's a different type of safety prioritization than we've been doing in more recent years under Vision Zero, but focusing on high priority schools with lots of injuries and fatalities happening near them.
Thank you. Let me just say once again, we had a Safe Routes to School study for 3rd Avenue and 60th Street, where there was a plan which was never implemented in 2003. There are now, instead of 1 school at that intersection, there are now 4. And for some reason, DOT, who's all about safety, has allowed EDC to study that intersection and 1st and 2nd Avenue. EDC, whose priority is not safety. So thank you for telling us how you do prioritization. It doesn't seem to be what we have experienced.
as Emily said, I think, yeah, we're well aware of 3rd and 60th Ave, and we're working with EDC and others to figure out a solution as quickly as we can. And, I'm happy to continue talking.
18 years is not very quick, and EDC's priority is not safety. I believe DOT's is.
That's correct. Thank you.
Any additional questions, participants, attendees? We have 2 additional hands up. I see Nick Azadian next.
Well, I got a couple more questions for you. Specifically, when was the study produced for these particular areas? When was that done versus when was this project awarded to AECOM for study?
Sorry, I don't have the particular dates. I'd have to get back to you on that. The truth of it is that our capital, some of these capital projects, which were in later stages of, the overall funding for schools, these Safe Routes to School projects came later. So the initial report was identifying particular intersections, may have been done, as 10 years ago or more. And then as, funding as things come up for funding or as projects are funded, our unit and others, develop, take conceptual plans that were coming out of these reports, add other things into them, bring them up to standard and, working within sort of the constraints of these project scopes, try to bring them up to the, the highest and best standard that we can and get the most safety benefit. We think this is, these are great improvements. But at the same time, I'll be the first to acknowledge that, this isn't exactly the same way that, DOT or school safety approaches implementing safety improvements now. Currently, we think more about, looking at developing corridor plans and, area-wide plans and, going this route. So there has been some time. I'd be happy to, follow up with more specifics about the dates, though.
I would be very interested to know specifically the dates specific to this neighborhood versus some other neighborhoods in Brooklyn in terms of safety improvements, and if there would be a deviation in terms of how long it has taken for improvements in this neighborhood to be conducted versus other parts of the city.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah,
I'll come back to you, Nick.
Yeah, thank you, Emily.
Yeah, no problem.
Nick, you done?
I thought we were going to get an answer to that question.
Yeah, I thought so too, but
I don't think it's.
That's not an answer we can give tonight. So I will definitely get back to you at a later time.
I would look forward to that response.
Great.
Thank you.
I think we all would. I have Joan Body next. Joan, you're muted.
Sorry.
No problem.
The first thing I'd like to ask you, Brett and Emily, if you would show your faces kindly when we're speaking. Now for Will. Have you ever, did you think of looking into safety at 43rd Street and 4th Avenue? There's a school coming online not too long from now that used to be the old 6-8 precinct. And there's another school directly across the street. Now, if this project here for 60th Street and 59th Street and 44th Street has taken decades, how long is it going to take to realize that we have two schools right opposite each other? And they're not going to be small schools. By the time this is finished, the new one, will have about 1,000 students coming out of those two schools.
So
What do you estimate, guys?
we have DOT isn't responsible for, unfortunately, for we work with our partners and people who are seeking permits and SCA and others who are locating schools. As you're all well aware, many of the locations where schools are being constructed these days are not in, the most ideal situations, and they present, safety issues. We've been working and, reviewing plans to make as many changes as we can to get the most safety benefits online for the school of 4th Ave and 48th. I think some of the programs already in place, from the 4th Avenue protected bike lane, and the plans to bring that forward to Capitol will be a great asset there, with shorter pedestrian crossings, curb extensions, things and the like. And I'd be happy to follow up more about that. We're also continually, and this kind of comes closer as some of these schools open, but reviewing arrival dismissal and working with schools to help that run as safely and smoothly as possible, with in terms of curbside access for buses and other vehicles.
Okay.
Thank you, Joan. I have a question from attendee Vanessa Cordero, and then we also have a third agenda item. Vanessa, you could unmute yourself.
Hi, how are you? I'm trying to piggyback off of what you're saying, what you were saying about the schools on 4th Avenue and 3rd Avenue. Anybody who knows the area knows that there's more traffic, especially trucks and commercial traffic on 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue than in the locations that you are currently building these sidewalks. So why isn't that taking precedence, high traffic areas, rather than the areas that you guys are picking out? And also, I wanted to know for the DOT, is it possible, because we're having so many problems with speeding bikes and these electric bikes, to put a speed bump prior to the intersection so that the bikes themselves can slow down for pedestrians, especially near schools? Thank you.
So I'll answer the first question. These locations were identified, these projects were identified based on a study of crash data that looked at schools across the city. These capital projects, these improvements do take a long time to come to fruition. Unfortunately, we think they're great improvements, and based on the timeline of the projects, once they get started, once we get them funded, there is this longer period. So, we do commit to carrying these through and seeing them through. But that's not mutually exclusive with, us making improvements on other corridors throughout the city. DOT is working on making improvements on 3rd Avenue. I wish that, we were able to avoid new schools getting built on the corridor, or include some of the safety improvements that, we're requesting, that everyone wants, on the corridor. We opened up a new pedestrian crossing at 3rd and 59th Street, before the new school was opened. 3rd and 60th Street is something we continue to study. DOT is making safety, continuing to, build on safety improvements along the 4th Avenue corridor. And if you have any particular concerns about areas, our unit is, and, DOT more broadly is more than happy to look at them and see how we can slot them into, shorter term in-house improvements, or, potentially medium and long-term improvements.
If I could piggyback on that as well, DDC contacted me earlier today, maybe about 6 hours ago, asking me to attend a meeting tomorrow morning to talk about the next phase of improvements to Fourth Avenue, which I believe, and I don't know yet, but I'll know tomorrow, will include concrete pedestrian waiting areas where they now have just painted pedestrian waiting areas. I think this is the next phase of Fourth Avenue safety. I'll have more information tomorrow evening on that.
And for the second part of that question, DOT does not install speed humps at intersections. We can take a look at mid-block speed humps surrounding schools and in certain streets, but due to the backlog for study, it's about a 2-year process.
Emily, I believe that was specific to bikes though, and I think perhaps Vanessa was talking about specifically speed humps for bike lanes. Do you even do something like that?
No.
No, you don't. Okay, thank you. So Zach had to attend, he explained a children's birthday party. He had to drop out of the meeting, but I will, he asked me to handle the rest of it and I'm happy to. Board members, would you, Emily, are you seeking a vote on this from the board? Are you seeking our support?
Yes, we would like a letter of support.
Okay, so board members, if there's any discussion on this matter, please raise your hand. Seeing none, Emily, oh, wait, Nick Azadian, I have your hand up.
I would propose this, and due to the numerous issues we've had with DOT over the years, I would suggest before we issue any sort of support, we get answers to the questions that we've asked for the various issues regarding to DOT issues. And we talked about this for the asphalt plant, and then basically nothing happened. We never got any sort of responses. And I almost feel like at this point, you almost have to take a harder stance just to get responses out of our own city agencies, unfortunately. And I would just offer that up for discussion.
So Zach, what I think I hear you saying is we should send a letter to DOT asking some specific questions about this and seeking their response before we vote on this. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. May I ask, and I'm not a board member, so I certainly couldn't put this in a motion, but you may want to advocate for this in a letter, that we bring up that issue of 3rd Avenue and 60th Street, which was part of the Safe Routes to School study, which we have prioritized for years now. And if that could be part of the letter, I think I would personally appreciate that. Are there any other? Actually, one other item I would like DOT to answer, and I don't think they can answer tonight, but I think it would be interesting to find out why they're seeking our support on this issue, but they don't want us to have a vote on, say, 7th and changes to 7th and 8th Avenues or 20th and 21st Streets that we just had informational meetings on 20th and 21st Streets or Park Circle. And they're not seeking our vote on 7th and 8th Avenues, but they're seeking our support for this. So I'm curious how they make the determination when they want our support and when they don't care about our support. Are there any other items on this to discuss from board members? I would entertain a motion if anybody wants to make one.
I'll make one, Jeremy. Just as you stated.
So you would like to send a letter to DOT with some specific questions about this project and the tangential issues of 3rd and 60th, as well as why they seek our support on this, but not others?
Yes.
You'd like to make a motion to write that letter, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Second.
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 Anybody?
Is there any discussion on the motion? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I will call the question. A yes supports the motion to write a letter. A no is against the motion. And an abstention counts as no vote. Hang on, I'm just writing this down. So board members, committee members, excuse me, I'm going to call your name. When I do, please say yes, no, or abstention for the vote on this matter. Cesar Zuniga. Zachary Jassy. John Garcia. Joan Body.
Yes.
Joseph Canale.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Joan. I missed you. John DeLuper.
Yes.
Thank you. David Estrada.
Yes.
Thank you. Roberto A. Martinez.
That's a yes.
Thank you. Marilyn Melman. Marilyn, you still with us? Marilyn, you have to unmute yourself to vote. Marilyn Melman. All right, I'm going to move on then. Gloria Rodriguez Navoa. Cindy Vandenbosch.
Yes.
Thank you. Katie Walsh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The vote is 6-0 to write a letter to DOT with some specific questions on it. So we are going to move on to our third agenda item. Thank you, DOT, AECOM, and DDC. I am going to take back your co-hosting, so you will no longer be able to share your screen. And I'm now at full screen. So we have one last agenda item. I'm going to ask Cynthia Felix, who introduced this issue to me, to introduce the issue to our board members.
Hi,
Cynthia.
Jeremy. Thank you and welcome everybody. Thank you for your patience. I am Cynthia Felix Jeffers, a board member and proud friend of Sandra Santos Vizcaíno. We are here tonight to respectfully request the support of Community Board 7 to co-name 57th Street between 3rd and 4th Avenue after Sandra Vizcaíno Santos, who was a longtime resident of Sunset Park and community activist. Sandra was the first teacher and educator to die from COVID-19 in New York City in March, and we would be honored to have your support. We have her family on the call, friends, neighbors, colleagues. We also have letters of support from organizations such as the United Volunteers of Sunset Park, Council Member Carlos Menchaca, and OLPH. You all received her biography as well as some article links, but I'll just try to do her justice. Ms. Santos Vizcaíno moved to Sunset Park in 1977 at the age of 11. She was a longtime resident of Sunset Park and lived in several streets. Her family currently lives on 40th Street, her mom, and the rest of her family lives on 57th Street. She took great pride in her family and dedicated herself to ensuring that her children, nieces, and nephews knew the importance of giving back to the community. They all attended our local public schools, and she volunteered in school events and participated in many celebrations. Her family always said presente and went above and beyond to support our community. Sandra was a brilliant woman whose passion for learning never ceased. She had multiple degrees that she earned. She graduated from Bard College and completed her master's degrees in science education and science at LIU. She also had an advanced certificate in educational leadership from College of St. Rose. She loved science and worked as a researcher at the Röntgen Institute at New York Hospital, and she published her research on infection and immunity. She became a teacher in 1995, and she's taught throughout our community. She taught in Sunset Park, Red Hook, Williamsburg, and most recently in Prospect Heights. Her principal is also on the call, her former principal. She was passionate about languages and culture, and as a dual language teacher, she advocated for access and equity for all immigrant families. She supported students academically and emotionally, and was known for her wonderful bright smile and the hugs that she gave freely. She worked tirelessly up to the last day before we went on full remote, And she was actually at the school working very late to set up the classroom for the kids to make sure they were safe, because she thought we were coming back and then we had to go remotely. She was intensely devoted to all her students and families and stayed in touch with them long after they left her classes. And she made a visit just months before she passed away to a former student who was undergoing cancer treatment. Students looked forward to being in her class and deeply felt her loss. Parents specifically asked to be assigned to her class. She was also an active member of many organizations, including the Association of Dominican American Supervisors and Administrators, and she was awarded several honors throughout her career, including the Outstanding Education Leader Award in the Dominican Republic for her work in education in the Dominican Republic. She was most recently honored in March 2020 by Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams for Women's History Month. She selflessly provided support to everyone, and she was a true leader that is beloved by her colleagues, friends, family, and students. She was dedicated to the community and volunteered endless hours in events in OLPH, in health fairs and breast cancer screenings, and was part of the lecturers group at OLPH. If you needed a helping hand, Sandra was always the first in line and never expected anything returned. She loved to cook Dominican food, bake cakes, and always had a smile. Sandra is loved so much and missed by so many. And we are seeking once again your support to rename the street 57th between 3rd and 4th in her honor as part of her lasting legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I'm going to ask if anybody from her immediate family would like to speak. Please raise your hand right now, and I will call you before we have board members speak. But Cynthia, I just have a process question for you before we get to that. It's been a while since we've done any street renamings, so folks may not remember, but this is something that goes before the city council, and the council member needs to be willing to put forth the name in a bill, a collective bill that all the council members sign on to, and have many street renamings. Cynthia, do you know if you or somebody who's asking for this has reached out to Councilman Chaka's office?
Yes, we have, and he has expressed his support, and he will do so in December. In case he cannot do it, we have also reached out to incoming council member Alexa Aviles, who has also expressed her support. So yes, we have been working with Cesar Vargas and Lorena and Carlos himself, and they're very much in support of doing it. And he's hoping to get it in December.
I would just say that what you mentioned is a likely outcome. However, we still do have an election to come.
I hear you. Understood. But yes, current council member Menchaca is scheduled to put it in
and that's what matters at this
point. For December. Yes.
Okay, so I have Victor Vizcaíno, I'm assuming is immediate family. Victor, you may mute yourself and speak.
Perfect. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Cool. Ms. Felix, thank you for the amazing introduction, to say the least, first and foremost. And thank you guys for hearing us out on the topic. So I don't have too many things to add. I just wanted to say a few things. One of which is that, you know, as her son, you might struggle to think of a few reasons to kind of put forth why would this would be great for her legacy, for the legacy of, you know, educators, for the legacy of advocates within the community. And I think that's why I've kind of been the most touched with kind of the outcry from people who have met her, and just seeing the list of reasons that she impacted all of these people from across our community. You know, I see her as my mom. You know, I know she does amazing things outside, but mostly I see the amazing things she does in our house on 336 57th Street, or on 57th Street, or on 40th Street. But, you know, ever since we lost my mom, we've seen all the things that she's done across Brooklyn and across, like, in the Dominican Republic and all these wonderful things. So I have to say thank you in that regard. And then the other thing that I wanted to kind of put forth as an idea is it would be wonderful to have this renaming because the people who know her would understand why. And anyone who, moves to the block in the future or something like that, who would have to Google who she was, would be, I think, inspired, to be a part of the community if they kind of saw what someone did to earn a street being renamed after them. So those are the two things that I would like to add to all the things Ms. Felix has said, and all of her students and her friends and family, and even like Spike Lee and all these people have said about her. So yeah, thank you for hearing me.
Thank you, Victor. Victor, I'm not going to take away your ability to speak, so if you would like to jump in at any point as a family member, feel free to unmute and do so. I just want to also say many of us lost people we love in the past year and a half, and beyond. And we understand your grief and your family's grief, and we share in that. And thank you for coming tonight and sharing your mother's story with us.
Thank you.
We will open it up to board members if there are any questions on this matter. Board members, anybody? Attendees, anybody who would like to speak on this matter, please feel free to raise your hand. Anybody is welcome to speak now. I see no additional hands up. Oh, now I have a hand up. Excuse me. Emma Velasquez, please unmute yourself and you're welcome to speak.
Hi, good evening. I am Emma Velasquez. I was Ms. Sandra Vizcaino's former principal. I was very fortunate to work with this amazing woman who taught me wonders. Her, even to start with the smile that she gave us, I could be having a very difficult day, and she brightened my day. And the love and the dedication she had for our students went above and beyond the call of duty. The respect that she had for her colleagues, the love that she had for her family, because we did become friends after a while. And like I said, I was very fortunate to see this woman in action, reaching, pushing, and just being an amazing role model for the children in the school. And I miss her. And I think that this salute to her would just continue to show how much she meant to all of us and how much she's truly missed. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Velasquez. I always have to call teachers by their last name. Anybody else who wishes to speak, please raise your hand. I have Lydia Ruiz Ferreira. You can unmute yourself now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak briefly on Sandra and who Sandra was. Sandra, for many, was a moral compass. She was an outstanding teacher, friend, colleague, everything. This is what she was. In fact, she was one of those teachers that when she had to deal with quote unquote challenging students, she would gracefully take them into her classroom, and she found a way to reach those students and those families. She made everyone feel welcome. She didn't care for your race, your ethnicity, your anything. She didn't care. She welcomed you with open arms, and she was the epitome of what a excellent teacher, excellent human being means. She was the best. I I don't, like Cynthia and Victor and her colleagues said, she would be greatly missed. It was an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to be counted amongst Sandra's friends. And I can't think of any better way of honoring her legacy and her memory than to be able to see that street named after Sandra. Thank you so much for this time.
Thank you, Lydia. Would anybody else like to speak on this matter? Board members, would anybody like to speak? I see 2 additional hands up from the public. I have Ruth Vega next. Ruth, hang on one second. Ruth, you can unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you to Cynthia for making this even a possibility. Sandra was my dearest friend, and I miss her dearly, but I just wanted to talk a little bit, not so much about her teaching, because I was never there to see it, but more to speak to her about her as a community member and how much she meant to the community. You know, there was a lot of things that she did. There were small things, there were big things. There was you know, getting flower bulbs that were being given out by the city and distributing them throughout the neighborhood to beautify our community. It was helping to get together and have a block party so that the kids could play and just get together, and bringing, you know, she brought everything together. She brought people together for events, to make our community, our diverse community, be one. That was one of the things that she was really adamant about, was that we come from different places, we speak different languages, but we could all come together as one community to improve where we live. And I think that having a street named after you, specifically in this community, specifically her being a woman and an educator, would be an enormous benefit to us, and obviously, you know, to her legacy and to her memory. I hope this does come to fruition, because it would be really something for our young people to look up to. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. I have Eridanya Santos next. Eridanya, you can unmute yourself now.
Hi. Sandra Santos Vizcaino was my sister, and I can't really speak about her without crying. And I just wanted to ask you if you can unmute her husband that is on the line, but not on Zoom. He's on the phone, and he would like to say a few words.
I'm more than happy to. Thank you for pointing that out. We only have one call over, so I'm assuming this phone number is his. Sir, you can, Mr. Vizcaino, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thank you.
Hi. My name is Felix Vizcaino, and Sandra Santos Vizcaino is my wife. First, I want to thank you guys for doing what she did. She brought people together to talk about things that are important, about things that were good to her community, like everything that I heard about the improvements in security and safety that you guys were discussing. And this is just an honor to be part of, to have this discussion about renaming Sandra's blog with her name. I'm not going to say much. Every good thing that Sandra did is out there, and everyone has lived it, felt it, or somehow heard about it. I just married a woman, and we were together for 36 years, 32 of them married, and I knew I had I know I hit the lottery when I married this girl. And she's just the great wife, and obviously my much better half. What I didn't know is that I was married to a superstar. I just, and that's what she was so busy all the time. I mean, honey, take it easy. You do it to my face. I just never realized that all those things that she was doing were impacting so many lives. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for considering this. And I know she's looking, and she's, just because we're here and we're together, and that's enough for her. Whether the street gets her name or not, she's happy because Sandra's all about unifying people and bringing people together to discuss things that matter to the plurality. So thank you so much for the opportunity to say these words, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much. I said it to your son. I'd like to say it to you as well. We are very sorry for your loss. Again, many of us have lost people that we love in the past year or so, and we understand your grief and share in it. So thank you for joining us tonight. I have two board members with hands up. I have Julio Pena. Julio, you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Jeremy. And hello, everyone. I just wanted to say, and apologies that I'm joining late. I just wanted to say I had the pleasure of knowing Sandra, not as a teacher, but as a parent when I worked in after school many years ago. And she was a wonderful parent partner in the after school program. And I was very sad when I heard the news of her passing. And I'm very honored to support the street renaming and any efforts that we can do as a board. And I'm very heartened to hear the support from both board members and from folks here. And again, just very saddened to hear of her passing and anything that we can do to honor her memory. So I'm glad to be supporting this.
Thank you, Julio. I have Cynthia Gonzalez next.
Yes, I just want to say that as a lifelong resident of Sunset Park and an advocate for my community my whole life, I understand, how much dedication you give and service you give to people that they don't even know your name. As a matter of fact, I didn't know Sandra personally, but this acknowledgement is the least that we can do to acknowledge her worth and her service to our community. So I want to express my full support because, this is a remarkable individual, not just to our community, but as her family has testified and as Cynthia has testified that she worked in many communities to change many, to improve many lives in many communities other than our own. So this is the very least that we can do to acknowledge her contributions, to our neighborhood, to our society, to our city, to the world in general. She's a remarkable person. And I want to express my condolences to her family. And, I will encourage everybody to get behind this. She's worthy of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. I have Cynthia Felix next.
I just want to thank everyone for their amazing testimonials tonight. And just to leave you with this last thing, Sandra is the epitome of what Sunset Park and we all represent: fuerza, resiliency, passion, and amor. And to co-name this street would be a lasting legacy for her and her family, and for all of the family that she has by blood and family that she has by adoption. And that's a big, big, big family. So thank you all for supporting this letter to rename the street.
Thank you, Cynthia. That would be a good last word, but I will have a last call for anybody else who wishes to speak. Please just raise your hand. Cynthia, again, you raised your hand again and you put your hand down. Would you like to speak?
No, I was trying to lower it, Jeremy, and I raised it back again.
Before you could. So seeing no additional hands, I would entertain a motion if any committee member would like to make one. Please raise your hand and or speak up.
So moved, David Estrada.
So David Estrada, what are you moving?
Yes.
What are you moving? What is the motion?
Oh, to accept the proposal for the.
To support the street renaming, am I correct?
Yes.
Thank you. David Estrada makes a motion. Is there a second?
Joan seconds it.
Joan Body seconds it. Is there any discussion on the motion? Joan, I see your hand up. Would you like to speak?
No, I gotta, sorry.
Second, okay. And again, any discussion on the motion? Okay, we're gonna call the question then. A yes supports the motion to support the street renaming.
Jeremy.
No is against it, and an abstention counts as no vote. Nick, I see you unmuted yourself. Is there something?
Jeremy, yeah, just the question is, I would suggest perhaps unanimous consent on this one.
So Nick has requested unanimous consent, so I will ask that of the board. If there is anybody who is opposed to this, please, to considering this unanimous, please speak now. Unmute yourself and speak now. Hearing nobody, and me being in the seat of chair, I will declare that this vote is unanimously in favor of supporting the motion. So thank you, Nick, for calling that. So yes, for folks who don't understand the parliamentary procedure, we do support this motion, and it will be put before the board next Wednesday night. Ms. Santos Vizcaíno's family and anybody else, you are welcome to join us for that and speak during public comment before the vote. Again, all of these three motions will be before our board next Wednesday night. Would any other board member like to bring up any additional issues?
Yeah, I would.
Please, Cynthia.
I would. My problem is that what I see in terms of, transportation issues in the community is, the people using motorbikes, mopeds, scooters, and other electronic mobility equipments in the streets. It's becoming untenable. It's like there's no regard for traffic. They're on the sidewalks. I know that this was brought up earlier, but the bottom line is that it's just so out of hand that I don't know what to say, because my understanding, in terms of traffic and stuff like that, is that people operating these things should have like headgear and stuff like that. Like I see a person putting like a child in front of a scooter, and they're just like running up and down the streets with no regard for any kind of traffic laws.
So Cynthia, I recently spoke with a number of district managers in Southern Brooklyn. We're considered part of Southern Brooklyn when it comes to the NYPD. We all have very similar issues. And I'm going to speak to Zach about seeing if we could have an upcoming meeting with DOT about the laws involving the motorized scooters and bikes. But I know also our, and perhaps she wants to give a plug for this now, Cynthia Felix, who is the chair of our Public Safety Committee meeting, is meeting with Captain Castro of the 72nd Precinct in October. It might be a good issue you to bring up at that meeting as well. And I think I see Cynthia's hand up. Perhaps she'd like to address that.
Yes, Cynthia, thank you for bringing that up. That is definitely one of the things that we're going to bring up with Captain Castro. If there's anything else that any board members would like me to bring up, please shoot me an email or Jeremy and he'll let me know. But yes, we've seen it, Cynthia, more and more. And it's something that we need to address as a community. So thank you for bringing that up. And we'll definitely put it on the agenda for public safety.
Number of complaints that we have been receiving at the office.
Yes.
I guess I have a question, and my question is, you know, does this involve any kind of like police enforcement of the laws? Because as a motorist myself, I mean, if I'm driving, if I'm speeding, if I'm, you know, double parking, or what, I'm gonna get ticketed. I'm gonna get fined. There's a consequence to these situations. So I don't. Is the police involved in this? I think
that's an excellent question to bring up at that meeting. And Cynthia Felix, I believe that meeting is October 18th. Am I correct?
Yes.
And Cynthia, even if you're not there, I promise you, I will bring up that issue, even if you were not there.
Is that at the police precinct council meeting?
No, it's our meeting. It's going to be a public safety committee meeting. It's going to be on Zoom.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other board member with any additional issues? Would any board member like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I see an attendee with a hand up, so I'm not listening to that. Karen DiMichele, you can unmute yourself.
I'm a little confused because I got an email today saying that there was going to be some kind of meeting with a discussion about a proposal to convert 7th and 8th Avenues to on-way traffic.
So I don't know why you would have gotten that today. Originally, that was supposed to be tonight's agenda, but there is a Chinese holiday today we were unaware of at that time. So we were asked to reschedule that. That meeting is going to be October 5th.
Are you going to send another email about that?
I believe we have, but we will certainly send it out again.
Okay.
It will also be on social media, our social media accounts, and you could always look at my calendar. And please remember to register. I know you registered tonight. Thank you for that. But I'm sorry you were misinformed. We had to change the agenda about 7 or 8.
No problem. Look forward to the subsequent meeting. Thank you for your time.
No problem. I have another panelist, Cynthia Felix, with her hand up again.
Yeah, one last question, clarifying question, especially for the family and friends of Sandra. So the full board meeting is tomorrow.
Yes.
And the committee voted today, yes, and it'll be brought to the full board meeting tomorrow. Is that correct? Okay.
That is correct. Zach will ask the full board to support the motion that the committee voted in favor of tonight, which is to support the renaming.
Yes, and if anyone wants to join, you're welcome to join tomorrow as well.
Welcome to join. And there's an opportunity to speak before we vote. So you would be more than welcome to share your thoughts again, or for the first time for whoever wants to join.
Thank you, Jeremy, for clarifying.
No problem. Anybody else? Nick, you want to make that motion again?
So moved again.
Anybody second?
Seconded.
I believe that was by Julio. All in favor? Sounds good. Opposed? I didn't hear anybody. Abstentions? I declare this meeting over. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care.
so much.
All right, good night, everyone.